everybody. We are back at it with some more Marvel Red White Land Destruction. I have been absolutely loving this deck, and I wanted to try out just a few small changes today. I want to get a better feel for Fin Fang Foom and see if it is a card that has a place in the long term of the deck or if it's more of a flashy card. So let's hop right into the deck list. Not a lot of changes from last time. We are running the same main deck. I'm really liking this package of 4 Erode, 4 Fiery Impulse, 4 Flashback. These are 1 mana bread and butter spells here. We have Price of Freedom, Cleansing Wildfire to go after the lands, the 1 of Lightning Helix, 4 Avengers Disassembled. This is our new card from Marvel. If you haven't seen it yet, it deals... You can choose one or both. That's the big thing. You can deal 3 damage to each creature or destroy target land, and then its controller can look for a basic and put it into play. This is the huge upgrade to the deck. We now have a sweeper at 3 mana instead of 5 mana, and another way to destroy lands. In the 4-drop slot, we have 3 Fin Fang Foom. This is the card that I'm wanting to test out the most. He reads, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets an artifact or land, copy that spell, and then you can copy it. So whenever we're using our Cleansing Wildfires or our Price of Freedoms, we get to double it up. We've had some really insane turns with this card. It lets us draw 2 cards, but it is also a 4-mana spell that does not do anything when it hits the board, and that we have to untap with. So we have had some moments where it just comes down and dies. We have Magmatic Hellkite, just 4/5, destroys a land, and notably puts the basic into play with a stun counter on it, so it can be a nice tempo advantage. And then 3 Legend of Roku. This is just one of the best card advantage spells in Pioneer. As far as the mana base is concerned, we are on 5 basic lands, 2 Quarry Mountain Monasteries, and some dual lands, 4 Demolition Fields, 3 Sunken Citadels. Still on the 1 Cascading Cataracts. It's felt good enough to stay as a 1-of. Changes for today are the sideboard. Been seeing a lot of Izzet decks recently, and so I've been wanting to try Deafening Silence. There's a little bit of tension with our flashbacks, so when we bring in the Deafening Silences, we'll want to trim on our own flashbacks, but it shouldn't be a problem as this card is so strong in a lot of matchups. Alpine Moons, still a lot of Lotus Field running around. Not much to say about that. Rest in peace. This solos a lot of decks. If you're in white, I think you want to be on at least 3 copies of this. We're on another copy of Lightning Helix in the sideboard. There has been a lot of mono red on the ladder lately. So the combo of another Lightning Helix in the board to bring in and the 3 Bezas to fight mono red, it makes the matchup a lot better. They play so many mountains that we have a lot of cards that we want to cut. So 3 Bezas, a Lightning Helix, and then some Ultimas for anything with Badgermole Cub, anything with a lot of artifacts. Just one of the best sweepers in Pioneer. But that is the deck list. Not a lot of changes for today. Again, just wanting to continue to test out Fin Fang Foom and see how it feels. Let's go ahead and hop into some matches. All right, we are on the draw for the first game here. And we have a pretty slow hand. Our opponent is keeping 7. With 2 flashbacks, we have a lot of good draws. Any Erode or Fiery Impulse plus any land destruction spell makes these flashbacks really good. So we're going to keep this. All right, and nice. We draw a Price of Freedom off the top. So the one of our flashbacks is turned on. All right, looks like our opponent is Blooming Marsh into Concealed Courtyard, so we're against Abzan Greasefang. And all right, our opponent just goes Professor of Symbiology, discard Parhelion into pass. Likely they have Greasefang. It's not, I don't... Bluffing is rough here. Let's just force him to have it. go with a Price of Freedom on their Orzhov land. If they just have turn 2 discard Parhelion into turn 3 Greasefang on the play, it is what it is. All right, opponent gets a swamp. We draw a mountain. And let's see if they have White Source plus Slam a Greasefang. They are thinking, so them not immediately playing it means potentially they don't have it. Let's see what they do here. If they did have the Greasefang, I think they would have gotten a Plains. So potentially a good sign for us. All right, opponent just has another Blooming Marsh. So we're not getting Greasefanged this turn. Opponent gets in with the Professor of Symbiology and just does nothing. Okay. Let's go ahead and use a flashback here. Save this Avengers Disassembled for if they play more creatures. Welcome back. What's up, Badfish? Yeah, I'm back. It's been a crazy 2 weeks. Been super busy with work and some other things, but it is nice to be playing some Pioneer again. Hope you're doing well. How have you been? We are just picking up where we left off with some more red-white land destruction. All right, opponent has the Cycle creature. Again, looking to dodge a Greasefang again. All right, opponent top decks the Greasefang. I'm pretty sure we're dead to this. We're taking 5, 9, I think. Yeah, this kills us. What? Why? Wait, what? I'm missing something? Why did our opponent concede there? What just happened? Okay, I must have missed something if I have no idea why they're conceding there. All right, sideboarding, we're bringing in Rest in Peace, and Lightning Helix also kills Greasefang, so let's bring it in. Cut the flashbacks when we are bringing in Rest in Pieces, and yeah, let's just go 4 for 4. Been alright myself. A friend got into Magic recently and started playing Pioneer. Dude, that's sweet love. I think a lot of new people are getting into Magic. How have they been liking it? Did you start teaching them with Pioneer or a different format? And yeah, I have no idea what was going on to make them scoop. Yeah, maybe they must have had to go or something, because play Greasefang with Parhelion in the graveyard into concede. That doesn't make any sense. All right, we're on the draw here again. And all right, we have a Rest in Peace, but no white mana. But we do have a Fiery Impulse. We have a Price of Freedom. We're going to keep this. I've had a friend that's recently been getting into Magic, but we've just been playing mostly Commander with him. He's a big Avatar fan, so the Avatar universes beyond was what got him interested in the format, or just in the game in general. All right, opponent has a duress to take our Rest in Peace. Play this Quarry Mountain Monastery tapped and pass the turn. Opponent is on a mulligan to 5, and they don't have a turn 2 discard outlet for a Parhelion. Let's go after the Orzhov land. All right, opponent floats a white, floats a green, so it looks like they have the cycle vehicle. I forget what that thing's called. All right, opponent gets a Plains. Oh, a cash grab. They do not hit a vehicle. Okay. I let Arena teach him the basics, gave him some tips, and the rest has just been getting into games. Yeah, I think that's the best way to get new people into the game, is let Arena do the hard part and then just keep playing games with them and letting them get addicted, because the game's so fun that, all right. doing best of one until he wants to get into some sideboarding. Yeah, sideboarding can be pretty intimidating for new players, so I get that. All right, opponent, Professor of Symbiology into enter the Avatar state. We draw Cascading Cataracts here. So we can Field of Ruin, Concealed Courtyard, leave up Fiery Impulse. Right now, Fiery Impulse does not kill Greasefang. We could Cleansing Wildfire our own Cascading Cataracts. This comes into play tapped. Both come into play tapped. Yeah, so there's no way that we can leave up Fiery Impulse here. Yep, so let's just Field of Ruin. Field of Ruin, leave up a small Fiery Impulse, and hopefully we don't die. Gives me time to tweak his decks for him, Mono White Life Gain and Bant Boggles. Yeah, the perfect decks for, well, Bant Boggle. Fun for him, at least. Okay, opponent has an unlicensed Hearse. We don't care about this at all because we brought in Rest in Peace. Alright, sorry. Let's go ahead and Field of Ruin this Concealed Courtyard. We were lucky we did not die to a Greasefang this turn. This 3-color version of the deck usually does not play a ton of basics, so... And opponent just concedes. They did mill a basic. Okay, we are on the play here. We have Sunken Citadel into Demolition Field, so we can get a red source. Let's keep this. Name red with the Sunken Citadel. Alright, opponent is on Kahira. Blue-white has historically been kind of a rough matchup. Go after their lands here. I want to draw a card here since we're not hitting a land. Okay, and Fiery Impulse does pretty much nothing against their deck. Opponent, untapped Hollowed Fountain. Okay, nice. We draw a mountain. Let's just pass the turn, use this Demolition Field. No reason to cast a spell into an obvious No More Lies. Alright, opponent has their own Field of Ruin, but we're pretty fine with getting another basic out of their deck. So go after their Hollowed Fountain. Watch the life gain pop the 3-drop and go up to 1200. How well does Arena handle going up to 12, like 1,000 HP? All right, so let's get a mountain with this and then a plains with our Field of Ruin. This is a great... Oh, so they... Okay, they do still have No More Lies left up. Go to our turn. We miss on a land. This is going to get countered, but we're going to cast it. Wow, no, wow. I was not expecting this to resolve. Does this mean that they have... Okay, they cast a non-kicked Consult the Star Charts. That's pretty good for us. Opponent has another land. We need to hit a land. Okay. Don't love that it is one of our basics, but... Alright. Here's the No More Lies. They had this last turn. Alright. Opponent... Okay, plays Elspeth's Stormslayer. We can Avengers Disassembled this. Okay, nice. We find a Quarry Mountain Monastery. That's one of the best cards in this matchup. Play the Hellkite. Go after Hollowed Fountain. Smoothly, so long as both choose to resolve all and accept 5+ minutes going by. Yeah. That seems... Had around 700 triggers. Oh my gosh. Oh, sorry. Notably, our opponent is out of basics. All right, opponent finds a Hall of the Storm Giants, but we are going to start going after their basics here. We're under a bit of pressure from this Elspeth. All right, opponent exiles 2 cards, so 3-for-1s themselves to deal with our Magmatic Hellkite. Opponent makes 2 more soldiers, gets in for 2. Passes the turn. All right, we draw a Price of Freedom. I think we're going after 2 lands here. Alternatively, we can play Fin Fang Foom. What did they exile to a temporary lockdown and a supreme verdict? This is blue-white. They're tapped out. Now they can just destroy this with the onboard Elspeth. So we are going to just go after 2 of their basics this turn. Destroy all their soldiers. We need to find an erode and go after plains. So they have no more white mana. Would love to draw no erode still. Play this Sacred Foundry tapped. Yeah, erode doesn't win us the game, but it puts us in a way better position. All right, opponent Cascahira. We draw a Field of Ruin. I think we're Field of Ruining here. So Field of Ruin, play Fin Fang Foom. Yeah, this does not trigger off Field of Ruin. So let's Field of Ruin, Hall of the Storm Giants. Grab our last mountain. Play the Fin Fang Foom. This probably gets the minus out of Elspeth. We'll see what they decide to do. All right, opponent finds a Meticulous Archive and minuses the Elspeth, I'm sure. Yep, so goes after Fin Fang Foom. We need to find an erode here. We're drawing 2 cards a turn with the Quarry Mountain Monastery. Okay, nice. We find the erode. All right. Tap the... Oh, and we just exile another erode. All right, big draws here. So now we just have to beat 2 tokens. We have a second Planeswalker answered. We're in a good position. We're not... Okay, opponent finds a Field of Ruin for the Quarry Mountain Monastery. That's really good for them. They should proactively go after it. We'll see if they do. They know. And we're out of basics too. So opponent now knows that we're on 5 basics. We just find a Sacred Foundry. All right, we have a lot of good draws here. Any Legend of Roku. Our second Quarry Mountain Monastery. Yeah, let's just kill this soldier. Notably, our opponent does not have second white source. All right, we draw Cleansing Wildfire, go after Meticulous Archive here, keep them off white. We can pay for counter spells. All right, opponent floats a white. All right, we draw an Avengers Disassembled. Let's go to second main so they can't No More Lies. And go after Basic Island. Going after Basic Island here, so if we draw a Field of Ruin or Demolition Field, it can hit the Otawara. All right, and Magmatic Hellkite to kill the Otawara should be the game. They're dead in 4 turns. They would have to go exactly 2 white sources in a row. And they're discard. Okay, discard a Farewell. Get in for 4. Really nice to win game 1 here. All right, opponent plays an untapped Hollowed Fountain, so they also have an erode, it looks like. They pass the turn. We draw a Field of Ruin. I mean, if they have erode here, it doesn't matter when we play this. All right, opponent erodes our Magmatic Hellkite. Or is this... they have a March. So they're marching, exiling 3 cards. Yep, so, or, yeah, exiling 2 cards. All right, opponent gets out from underneath the Magmatic Hellkite. We destroy the Hollowed Fountain. We have so many good draws here. Legend of Roku. Okay, we find the Legend of Roku. This should seal this game up. And opponent concedes. We find the Quarry Mountain Monastery. Yeah, really nice to win game 1 against blue-white control when we have so many dead draws. All right, Fiery Impulses down. Lightning Helix down. Beza's in. Are we bringing in Alpine Moon for their Field of Ruins? Seems better than just random damage removal spells like Fiery Impulse. Let's go 2 Alpine Moons. 2 Alpine Moons, bring in the Bezas, and yeah, we'll click submit on this. Being able to protect our own lands from their Field of Ruins actually has a lot of value in this matchup. And we're on the draw. Wow, this hand. We're going to risk it. Any land lets us cast everything. Obviously, drawing Fin Fang Foom off the top is horrible. And we are going to get punished for this hand, it looks like. But I would have kept it again. We need to draw land this turn, or we probably are going to fall super far behind. All right. It was not meant to be. Discard a flashback. We're a 25 land deck. I would have kept a 2-lander on the draw again. No regrets here. All right, opponent just plays a Beza for the 4/4. We draw on a road. So sure, we'll cast Erode because we're going to have to discard to hand size anyway. And so opponent had 2 plains, 3 islands. We do have enough land destruction to destroy all those if they don't slam a Teferi here. That's slamming a Teferi. All right, red source off the top. Nope. All right, game 3. No changes to the sideboard. Again, we're a 25 land deck. I would have kept 2 lands on the draw every time. That hand was pretty nuts if we ever find literally any land in our deck or a red source. So looks like they're sideboarding after game 2 again. Not sure what they would be changing. But on the play here against blue-white control, really looking for a lot of Field of Ruin effects are good against their deck. We like to be able to save the Price of Freedoms and... oh, wow, just another terrible hand. Okay, this hand is a lot better. Let's keep 6, put back Avengers disassembled. Play the Sunbound Pass tapped, and you and everyone else being hyped on pawns inspired me to see what snow cards in red there were for Pioneer. Is there... I managed to make Skred red for Pioneer. Is there a... because there's a 2-mana Skred from Kaldheim, right? If I'm remembering. Okay. I'll take a look at the list after this game. Let's go just Field of Ruin on Deserted Beach. Yeah. Field of Ruin on Deserted Beach. We want to save our Price of Freedoms to go after basics. And grab a mountain here. Opponent gets an island. There's oh yeah, because there are a bit of snow cards. There's that white hate bear that taps. Is it everything that's not snow? All right, so this turn we can cast a magmatic Hellkite, or we can go Demolition Field into Price of Freedom. I like that a little bit better. We can start going after their basics this way. And all right, opponent floats a blue. It plays a little bit better into counter spells, where we're still pressuring their mana. Oh, whoops. Well, we don't get to... Sorry, my bad there. All right, opponent... Oh, people love to bring in this flanker. And it never... This is just another... Yeah. 3 mana to gain 2 life and scry 2. I don't know why the blue-white players are obsessed with this card. But they are. They bring it in all the time. All right, opponent goes top bottom with the scry. We are going to erode this on their turn. All right, opponent plays a Fountain Port. And they go to get in for 3. We're just going to cast this erode. All right. This should be... They're out of planes. They have 1 more island in the deck. They're reading Fountain Port right now. All right, they create a blue fish. Wow. Why are they main phasing? Yeah, flanker hits graveyards, can bounce and replay at instant speed. Yeah, I get why it's in the deck. And like the exiling graveyards is good, but like our deck is not a graveyard deck that really cares about one-shot graveyard exile effects. And I see them bring this card in against a lot of decks that it's just not good against. That's what I was meaning, was they just seem to bring it in every single matchup, whether it actually makes sense to or not. All right, I am loving these March of Otherworldly Lights that exile 2 cards to deal with 1 Magmatic Hellkite. All right, odds they have a counterspell here are very high. So let's go just Demolition Field on Verge and then cast a Price of Freedom. Alternatively, we could... No, we only have 1 2 mana. Yeah, I haven't really played against... Yeah, I see it every time. And it... At least the decks I play, it never looks great against them, but... Oh, opponent has a Wandering Emperor. Okay. So that resolves. They can make a 2/2. But we get to start going after... Are we going after plains or islands? Let's go after... So their card draw is island, their removal spells are plains. Let's go after their islands. All right, opponent makes a samurai. We have the flashback for Erode to answer this Wandering Emperor. Oh, and we find a Quarry Mountain Monastery. That was maybe the best draw off that Price of Freedom. All right, opponent has a Hollowed Fountain. We don't care too much about that. We have this Magmatic Hellkite. All right, opponent's plussing up on the Samurai to try and get it out of Avengers Disassembled range. They get in for 4. Yeah, we'll take 4. And opponent plays a Beza. So Avengers Disassembled is resolving. They get to draw a card here and... Yeah, just... Oh, and make a treasure. Okay. We draw Sunken Citadel. This will be good to go with the Quarry Mountain Monastery eventually. So we can Magmatic Hellkite or do nothing else. Or we Avengers Disassembled and then flashback erode on Wandering Emperor. I think I like that. We can beat a 4/5 Beza. So go after Island. Opponent fails to find. Go flashback on Erode. Erode Wandering Emperor. Fails to find again. Play Sunken Citadel tapped on red. We have double white, and now that we're not playing Ultima's main deck, we need a lot less white mana. Opponent just gets in with Beza and passes. We draw a Sacred Foundry. Let's play Sacred Foundry untapped. We can play around No More Lies this way. Opponent has to change the equation. All right. Took 2 damage for no reason now, so we need this Legend Oroku to resolve. We're dead in 2 turns. All right, we find an Erode, so we can answer the Beza. So I think we cast this first. Erode Beza. All right. And let's just activate Corey on their turn. Continue to play around No More Lies. Do they have a kicked? Okay, they have a kicked Consult the Star Charts here. So they can get land plus something else here, potentially 2 lands. Notably, they can't play Teferi or Elspeth this turn, so they find a land. And do they have 3rd Beza? 3rd Beza would be rough. Okay, just an Ashiok. Wow, they're going very heavy on the Graveyard Hate, and we really don't care that much about it. So Ashiok down. Honestly, the mill 20 is potentially the scariest part of this card. All right, opponent passes. Activate Quarry Mountain Monastery, just a land. All right, we draw an Avengers Disassembled. Let's get this Legend Oroku down. All right, land, Alpine Moons, Sunken Citadel. I think we want to get 2nd Sunken Citadel into play, and then Avengers Disassembled Hollowed Fountain. So play this. We'll play this one on white and destroy. Actually, let's go after. Let's go after. Is it Plains? No, let's go after Hollowed Fountain. They'll still have a Verge in play that we can target with our Field of Ruin effects. All right, laying down. We don't have much. We need to draw a way to win the game eventually. This Legend of Roku will put a lot of pressure on them. They mill 4 cards again. Yeah, the funniest thing is this Ashiok being a mill 20 cards is potentially the scariest thing about it. Let's add a red. Doesn't matter. We're just going to be activating Quarry Mountain Monastery this turn. Yep. Activate Quarry Mountain Monastery. All right, we find a Beza of our own. So play the Plains, play this Beza, and draw a card, gain 4 life, and play Alpine Moon on Field of Ruin. Nice to guarantee that our Quarry Mountain Monastery is going to stay in play here. Looks like opponent has something to remove either the Legend of Roku or the Beza. Is it a Get Lost? All right, what does opponent have here? Okay, another March exiling just one card, and it's an Elspeth. See if they have another removal spell. Yeah, are we? That's crazy. I was making fun of the Ashiok. We're close to getting milled out by it. All right, we draw another Legend of Roku. Attack Ashiok. Ashiok is down. Play Legend of Roku. We have 20 cards left in the deck. Opponent has a Dovin's Veto. Sure. Activate Quarry Mountain Monastery. Still land and pass the turn. All right, opponent has a stock up. That's a good find. They'll get another land off of this. Notably, nothing in the graveyard. We've lost a lot of our land destruction. All right, opponent finds a Hall of the Storm Giants. Activate the Quarry Mountain Monastery. All right, we find an Erode. That does not do too much for us here. Play the Sunken Citadel on red. Doesn't matter. We have our colors. And pass the turn. Yeah, we're down to, so 1 Legend of Roku, 2 Legend of Rokus. So we have 1 Legend of Roku left in the deck. We have 1, 2, 3. We have 1 Magmatic Hellkite left in the deck. Opponent plays their own Beza. Not sure why they're doing that into the known Erode, but just to get a treasure. And go to our turn. All right, we find another Quarry Mountain Monastery. Activate our Quarry. Okay, we find our last Legend of Roku. Play this. Okay, nice. Demolition Field. Fin Fang Foom. Go after Hall of the Storm Giants. We don't... Do we have any more basics? Okay, we have another mountain. We have 11 cards left in the deck. Pass the turn. We are 3 turns away from winning with the Beza. Opponent draws a Field of Ruin, and they draw an Elspeth. So they're trying to mill us out here, it looks like. All right, opponent destroys Beza. We have a flashback for this Elspeth. Really big that they cast that Beza 3 turns ago to put this Erode in the graveyard, so we're able to flashback. All right, we draw a Cleansing Wildfire. That should be the game. So now we get to go Field of Ruin, play Fin Fang Foom, Field of Ruin, their Field of Ruin. We have no more basic lands left, but now we get to Cleansing Wildfire both of their Verges. Now we'll do 1 Verge, 1 Plains. Drawing another... Okay, good game. Let's go. All right, Fin Fang Foom looking crazy here against Blue-White Control. We're not going to kill ourselves, right? So we draw 2 more cards. We go to 6. Yeah. Should be good here. Let's go. Goodbye, lands. An opponent concedes. Would have been, well, a perfect victory aside from their 1 treasure still left in play. All right, let's go. Feels really good to beat Blue-White Control. We've kind of struggled with that deck with our Boros land destruction deck in the past, so it feels good to beat it with this Marvel version of the deck. We are on the draw here, and as long as we draw 1 land, we're great. We're good. All right, opponent has Basic Island. Not sure what Basic Island means. Basic Island into Opt. Is it Prowess? Most likely, is it Prowess? All right. Spire Bluff Canal, Artist's Talent. We draw Basic Plains. Let's go after Island here. Alternatively, we can Demolition Field the Spire Bluff Canal and leave up a Fiery Impulse. But let's just go after an island. This could be Arclight Phoenix. Usually the Phoenix decks are the ones playing the Artist talent. We don't have an answer to a bunch of Phoenixes right now. All right, opponent just has a second Artist talent. They discard a Fiery Impulse, so likely Phoenix. I'm going to assume Phoenix until we see something else. All right, they discard a Spire Bluff Canal, discard a Consider, so they're having a lot of trouble finding Phoenixes. All right, we draw Flashback. So let's just go blow up Spire Bluff Canal, play Sacred Foundry untapped, and destroy an island. See how many basics this Phoenix deck is on. They've played... Okay, they're out of basics. All right, that's huge for us. Play this, Cleansing Wildfire Island, and... So they are on 3 basics. 3 basic islands from our opponent. See what they can do with 2 mana this turn. Should be hard for them to bring back a Phoenix with 2 mana in Pioneer. There's not a lot of free spells. They discard Picklock Prankster. They Surveil. Unfortunately for our opponent, we have a lot more land destruction this following turn. All right, and they have a Storm-Carved Coast. So yeah, we will just Demolition Field the Storm-Carved Coast and then flashback Cleansing Wildfire. All right, very strong showing. So get a mountain and flashback on the Cleansing Wildfire. Destroy their last island, and that should be the game. Fin Fang Foom will do something in 2 turns, so we play him next turn. All right, opponent finds a pathway, play the Fin Fang Foom, play this Sacred Foundry tapped, pass the turn. Next turn we can flashback this last Cleansing Wildfire to destroy any 2 of their lands if they have another one this turn. Hard to see how our opponent can get out of this one. Looks like they are, yeah, casting a Treasure Cruise. I mean, that's always the best way to start a turn, so that was the answer if they are going to win this game. Opponent draws 3, plays another land. Do they have a way to bounce this? Saw an Affinity player the other day, kind of surprised. Yeah, Affinity. Okay, and they have an Into the Floodmaw. Okay. Opponent is fighting. This does make it a little bit awkward for us. Yeah, I think there is an Affinity list in Pioneer. I think it looks similar to the Modern list with the guy that can warp to make a bunch of 1/1s. All right, so this turn, we really need to go after a pathway. I think we play Fin Fang Foom again, but we're 1 mana short of flashing back Cleansing Wildfire. So we just need to go after one of these pathways. It's just too risky to let them untap with 3 mana after they Treasure Cruised. Made some improvements to the one I played. Yeah, Oh, nice. All right, this is brutal. And we draw the Demolition Field. I'm sorry, opponent. That was a crazy draw from us. I think we have 1 plains left. We draw plains left. Going to slowly work into building it. Yeah, I think that Affinity's close. I don't think it's tier 1 yet in Pioneer. But I think with a few like it's one like Mox Opal like card away from being there. All right, so we play Fin Fang Foom again. We are out of ways to destroy their lands, and our opponent has drawn a land for every turn this game, so we do need to hit. All right, oh my gosh, we are drawing so well this game. All right. Blow up 2 of their lands. This is brutal. I feel bad for this. We've drawn super hot. Opponent is reading Fin Fang Foom, and they concede. All right, against Phoenix, Rest in Pieces in, Deafening Silences in, Flashbacks out, Lightning Helix out. We are at 61. 1 Fiery Impulse out. Do we want anything else? I don't think we want Ultima. And Quicksmith. We had 2 more legendary artifact creatures. Yeah, I could have messed around with a Mox Amber. Yeah, Affinity and Pioneer having to play like Tormod's Crypt as its 0 mana artifact is a little like, obviously Tormod's Crypt is good in some matchups, but the fact that it just does nothing in a lot makes it rough. All right, we are on the draw here, but we have 2 Deafening Silences against Arclight Phoenix, so we're going to keep. All right, Sunken Citadel on white. And pass the turn. Our opponent has a Ledger Shredder, so that actually, well, sorry. Deafening Silence just shuts this off. So Deafening Silence and play the Quarry Mountain Monastery tapped. I feel like the bad guy for playing this Deafening Silence. This card is usually played against me, and I get really salty, but it does feel nice to be on this side of it for once. Let's Avengers Disassembled. We could be playing into a Spell Pierce here, but getting this Ledger Shredder off the battlefield is worth it. Yeah, I thought it was I think it's both, where it's a nod to the graveyard decks, but it's also just like there's just not very many 0 mana artifacts in Pioneer. So it answers graveyard decks, but it also is just like what you have to play. We're going to play Fin Fang Foom here, see if it survives a turn. If it does, we just get to go crazy. And there's not a lot of removal that answers it. All right, opponent gifts an Into the Floodmaw, casts a Consider. So they discard a Phoenix here with the Connive, and then play a land, play 1 more spell. Did it because it seemed worth with 1 Scavenger Grounds. Yeah, I do think Graveyard Hate is very strong. Okay, and they don't have another 1 mana spell to go with, so they can't bring the Phoenixes back. Okay, well, they didn't have Spell Pierce earlier, so we are going to just cast a Price of Freedom and blow up their lands. We'll go after Island and Otawara with this one. All right, opponent. Wait, what? How are they casting this opt now and not opting last turn to get a Phoenix back? Very interesting line from our opponent here. So destroy this island. They're out of islands. Cleansing Wildfire their last 2 lands. Pass the turn. Sorry. Cleansing Wildfire, their last two lands, replay Deafening Silence, and... Alright, opponent concedes. Alright, we are on the play here. Depending on what you blast for with Sunken, you could do 4 fields, 3 Field of Ruins, and 2/3 of another Mountain Dual Source. Yeah, but honestly, I think the mono red, I do like how smooth it makes everything. All right, we go first. We're on the play here. We have Sunken Citadel, Demolition Field, and a Price of Freedom. This is a snap keep. All right, play the Sunken Citadel on red. And all right, opponent plays a Stomping Ground. This could be a lot of things. Let's just go Sacred Foundry and blow up the Stomping Ground. As far as splashing colors, I've been wondering if in this deck, splashing black could be the answer, giving up the erodes for Thoughtseize. I think there's a lot of space in the land destruction package. You have to be green or black, yeah. There are the snow duels in Pioneer that are the two type. They're like mountain swamp. Okay, so sorry, our opponent is on the Song of the Bards, whatever that deck's called, and opponent concedes to our Demolition Field on Boseiju. So they're probably on 1 basic or 2 basics is what that means. So our opponent is against, I forget what that Song of the Bards, Song of the something. It's a combo deck. Does Deafening Silence turn it off? I think Deafening Silence turns it off. Regretting killing or taking out the enchantment removal. Let's go 1. Yeah, let's go Deafening Silences in. Flashback out. Yes, the lands from... No, but there's... So there's snow duels that they always come into play tapped, but they're both types. I think those are in Pioneer too. Obviously, they come into play tapped, so that's a pretty big downside. All right, opponent has Oath of Nissa into one of theirs. Let's just get this Deafening Silence down this turn. All right, opponent plays this. What gets in for 1? And oh, very awkward. Sorry, this is a Sundown Pass, so all right, slightly weird sequencing here. All right, opponent Bard class, that's the name of it. But this is pretty shut off right now. Oh, we draw another Sunken Citadel, but this turn we need to start destroying some lands. Go green splash to place 4 Spelunking. I'm personally a Spelunking hater, but just because of what that card does to me in the Lotus Field decks, but that would have the highest upside. All right, and let's go Price of Freedom on Forest. They should have 1 more Forest. Okay, no, they're... All right. Love to play against the 1 basic deck. All right, opponent casts an Oath of Nissa as their 1 non-creature spell for the turn. They draw a Boseiju. They play a Boseiju. Are we just dying to the combo anyway? That's... Okay, no. They play... All right. What is making these so big? Is it this? What's giving... Oh, sorry. They get the... I forgot about the first part of Bard class. Okay. Well, we're in some trouble now. Our Avengers Disassemble does not kill any of their creatures. So we can go... They can give everything indestructible. This adds... So I think we have to go after this. Fiery Impulse and then Avengers Disassembled. They'll sacrifice... Yeah. So Fiery Impulse... Yeah. Fiery Impulse here. We got to get some other creatures off the battlefield. I can't read my own cards. All right, we're going to be settling this in game 3. Whoops. I'm usually the one getting smoked by Deafening Silence. I totally forgot about how that works. Okay, well... All right, opponent, cast a Mox Amber as their one non-creature spell for a turn. Opponent has a Clothis. Yeah, these 4 toughness creatures are brutal. I mean, are they... We'll let them do their thing for a little bit. While we're letting them combo, let's take a... Oh, no, they're just attacking. Okay. So we're taking 6. But they can just give Indestructible this turn and we die. All right, let's settle this in game 3. We'll be on the play against a deck with 1 basic. Yeah, no way to kill their enchantments. This doesn't really do anything against them. Bring the flashbacks back in. Lightning Helix, yeah, we have enough 3 damage removal spells. We're just looking to go after their lands. We're on the play this time. And this hand is... yeah, not keepable. This hand is keepable. Let's put Fin Fang Foom onto the bottom. Hate to see it. He's our funnest card, but... Alright, opponent plays a Copperline Gorge. We will just Price of Freedom that. Wow. Opponent has a Tameo Safekeeping for their land. All right, and they have the Bard class. Okay, this is not great for us. We Field of Ruin, Copperline Gorge. They get basic forest here. Yeah, we just have to do this. We're doing this in their upkeep. I don't think it matters. Actually, no, let's do it right now so they can't Tameo Safekeeping us again. So go after Copperline Gorge, get a mountain, and then... Yeah, they can potentially have a good turn here. So they level up Bard class. Let's see how many legends they have. They play Stomping Ground, Domery, and what do they have to follow up the Domery? They have Quicksilver, and they pass, or they go to attacks. Yeah, we'll just kill this. They add a mana. What can they cast with this? What is this? This deck plays so many cards I've never seen before. Okay. It's a 4/3 that's now a 6. Oh, 6/4 because of Domery. If it was cast using Web Slinging, enters with a 1/1 counter. Okay. We draw on a road. That's really nice. But we are just... This Bard class deck is so annoying. Yeah, we can't. All their stuff is 4 toughness. All right, let's go after a land here. This was my friend's second opponent in Pioneer ever last night. Was this, yeah, Bora or this Golgari deck? I I think this deck is super, I guess annoying is the right deck. Whenever I play against it, they are always just like super lucky, and they always have, but like they never have any issues finding the Bard class. All right, they have Agatha Soul Cauldron. Does this do anything? All right, they go to attacks. Erode this Spider-Man card. We really need another Avengers Disassembled. Is their last card Tameo Safekeeping? It is not. Yeah, like I've never played against this Bard class deck, and they don't have turn 2 Bard class. Okay, they exile. Okay. They make this a 3/2. We just draw Field of Ruin, so this lets us cast this Hellkite as a blocker. All right, destroy Stomping Ground. So they put another counter. They can't. Wow, they just send in. This makes this a 4 power. Am I missing something here? Okay, they put us to 2. And they torch. Okay, so we have to top deck here. We have some number of top decks. Erode is a top deck. I'm gonna high roll here, and well, no, let's just not kill ourselves. We can just go after Copperline Gorge here. Grab a basic plains and destroy this now so they can't top deck a Tameo Safekeeping. Pass the turn. We're not dead. This doesn't do anything. Okay, they draw land. Luckily, this Planeswalker does not win the game by itself. Oh, we draw Magmatic Hellkite. All right, that's good. Play this Hellkite, destroy the Plaza of Heroes. Need to fade a top deck for 1 or 2 turns. Opponent, all right, draws a Blood Crypt, pluses up Domery. Okay, we draw Sunken Citadel. Play this Legend of Roku. Okay, we gotta fade a top deck this turn. Place Sunken Citadel on red. We are dead to top deck Sokenzan no matter what we do. But they have that other haste creature. Let's leave Hellkite back. Oh, and they drew a haste creature. All right. So glad that we left back the Hellkite. Does this doesn't have trample though, right? Does this give trample? No. So we're just trading Hellkite for Quicksilver here. Okay. Oh, I'm so glad that we played. Or we didn't attack with the Hellkite. All right. Add a red. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana this turn, and we have 11 mana of spells, so there's no way that we can cast all of these, so we'll just go Hellkite plus Price of Freedom. All right, so Hellkite on the Blood Crypt, and then Price of Freedom on the Copperline Gorge. Yeah, go Price of Freedom. Or is it on Agatha's? The activated abilities they have are just this Quicksilver activated ability. Let's go after... They already have all their stuff reduced. It's tough. Let me know what you would do here. They have mana from the Domery. Let's just get this Agatha's off the battlefield. It's close. We lose the Avengers Disassembled. Next turn, we can go after this Copperline Gorge. Opponent draws up a Seiju for turn, pluses up Domery. All right, we flip Legend of Roku. This is nice. We now are able to start getting in with our Hellkite, and we don't have to worry about dying to a haste creature. Let's play second Legend of Roku. Would love to find a Field of Ruin. Okay, we find a Field of Ruin. Play the Field of Ruin, go after Boseiju, and then this leaves up Fiery Impulse. Or, sorry, let's go after Copperline Gorge. And they have one legendary. So Sokenzan is 3 mana. They have 1, 2, 3. But we have the Fiery Impulse to kill one of the creatures now. Honestly, at this point, let's just go face. We don't need to give them 2 more turns by attacking the Domery. Let's just close this one out. Opponent draws. Honestly, okay, it looks like they drew a land for turn. We got there, similar to what I've been playing. They're on a bunch of Bezas and Get Lost's main deck, though. And in my opinion, I don't think we want to be on Get Lost in this kind of deck. That's a card that gives them more lands because you're letting your opponent explore. And you're letting them explore after you're blowing up their lands. I don't really like that synergy here. All right, opponent is... Wow. They're on Abzan with Skirmish Rhino. We're definitely the bad guys in this matchup. Our opponent's trying to play a nice Abzan mid-range deck, and we are going to blow up all of their lands. I'm sorry, opponent. Opponent is reading Sunken Citadel here. We're going to get a basic Plains here. Let this Quarry Mountain come into play untapped. And with the Sunken Citadel plus Quarry Mountain, we have double red. Our opponent gets a basic Swamp. Notably, Skirmish Rhino does dodge Avengers Disassembled here. 1+ for Skirmish Rhino. So that being said, let's play Quarry Mountain Monastery. We can't activate it, right? Yeah, we're 1 mana short. Let's pass. I want to try and get a 2-for-1 with this Avengers Disassembled, and we'll take 3 here. See if they play anything that... All right, they just have a second Skirmish Rhino. Okay. I think we have to... Let's just 2-for-1 ourselves. I hate doing it, but... Get a Skirmish Rhino off the battlefield. Untap. All right, Field of Ruin is nice here, but let's just get a Magmatic Hellkite down, go for the tempo play, go after Godless Shrine, and then we can destroy this Beseju next turn with the Field of Ruin. All right, they get a Plains. Yeah, I feel really bad here. Our opponent just wants to be playing like 2017 Abzan midrange, and we're playing 2026 land destruction. All right, play this Field of Ruin, go after Beseju. And let's grab a mountain here. Okay, oh, opponent does have a basic forest. Yeah, we don't have any. Added flashback to the list. Yeah, I think that's a good call. Let's go after forest. Full set. Yeah, I think flashback over burst lightning is a no-brainer there. All right, they're out of basics. Let's attack. We'll use a road on this skirmish rhino on their turn. Now that we know they're out of basics. Opponent gets in for 3. Kill the skirmish rhino. And they have a get lost for our Magmatic Hellkite. That's fine. We draw another erode. Let's pass the turn. We'll activate Quarry Mountain on their turn. Leave up our mana. Hard to see what they can have. All right, they have a Thoughtseize. That's fine. We've got them off of green mana, so I'd imagine that that cuts off a lot of their ways to play any creatures that end the game. All right, we hit a Legend Oroku. That should be the beginning of the end here. Play the Legend Oroku. All right, we draw Demolition Field, so we actually can play that this turn. Alternatively, play Sundown Pass and leave up a road, but no, let's just go after their lands. Play the Demolition Field, pass the turn. Thinking about it too initially, was just worried about little creatures in hindsight. Oh, opponent has Unholy Annex. All right, that's pretty good. That can potentially draw them out of all of our land destruction. Yeah, I don't. There's not a ton of. Well, no, there are quite a few little creatures. There's lots of prowess creatures running around too. All right, so this Fiery Impulse is going to go away. Let's just play second Quarry Mountain Monastery. And wow, we're just flashback Avengers disassembled to use our mana. Actually, no, we can use. Let's use this red, activate 1 Quarry. Find a Price of Freedom. Let's go after basic plains. I think with 4 of the snow removal spell, you're good enough against the little creature decks. And Avengers Disassembled has made matchups like Prowess a lot better. Now that you just have a 3 mana sweeper. All right, opponent. They do need to be careful not to die to this Unholy Annex. All right, nice. We draw a Magmatic Hellkite. So we can go after one of their non-basics. Alternatively, play Fin-Fang Foom. Can we... So we play Sundown Pass. The odds they have a removal spell are just way too high. Let's go with the... All right, they concede to Magmatic Hellkite. Fin-Fang Foom was the fun play there, but against an Abzan midrange deck, the odds of a removal spell on him are just way too high there. All right, we're against Abzan midrange. this should be a pretty good matchup for us. Let's go Ultimas in down Fiery Impulses, since they're on a bunch of 4 toughness creatures. And click submit. They're on 3 basics, 1 of each, 1 forest, 1 plains, 1 swamp. And we have a ton of Field of Ruins, a Cleansing Fire, and a Fiery Impulse. We're going to keep this. And a Magmatic Hellkite. Alright, opponent plays a Sandstep Citadel. And then a Caves of... And then they... How are... Alright. They play a Rest in Peace. That does... It shuts off exactly our flashbacks, but we don't care. To say it lightly, we can easily win without 4 flashbacks. I think if you're playing against this deck, you should not be bringing in cards to answer just flashback. Something to note, they don't have the Unholy Annex to follow it up, so that's really good for us. We're just going to play first Demolition Field, go after Godless Shrine, and pass the turn. Oh. Get our land first. We have Sacred Foundry, so we don't need to worry about getting a Plains. Get a Mountain. Next turn we can play a Magmatic Hellkite, get their last basic out of their deck. And we still have 3 more Field of Ruin effects to go after everything. Alright, opponent is playing real Siege Rhino 2. I got a lot of respect for what they're doing. Play Sundown Pass. Play Magmatic Hellkite. Go after the Boseiju. I wonder if their deck... I really want to see their deck list. They're on the Skirmish Rhino. They're on the Siege Rhino. They're just trying to play fair Magic. Alright, they have a Get Lost for our Magmatic Hellkite. And they get in for 4. We do need to eventually answer this Siege Rhino. We could get burned out by just a bunch of Lightning Helixes from them. Yeah, notably we have 3 turns to answer this. This turn we can go Field of Ruin on Godless Shrine. I'm all for what what they're doing is very cool. I think we actually have to play Legend of Roku this turn, just to try and find an answer to this Siege Rhino. Find in a road. Alright, we find an Avengers Disassembled. So next turn, Avengers Disassembled with a Fiery Impulse can answer a Siege Rhino. So we have answered a single Siege Rhino. Play Sacred Foundry tapped. Opponent has a Silver Quill's Charm for on Lightning Helix mode. And a Shieldred the Apocalypse? Oh my, wow. All right. Well, we're pretty dead to this, I think. Do we have 1, 2, 3... Oh, sorry, yeah, and we've actually drawn 3 of our flashbacks, so the Rest in Peace ends up being insane here. Alright, we're dead. Siege Rhino wins the game. Yeah, we Avengers Disassembled. Yeah, we only have 1 Fiery Impulse. We didn't have... Oh, yes. Actually, so I made fun of the Rest in Peace 4 turns ago, but it actually stopped us from Avengers Disassembled, Flashback Avengers Disassembled. I don't think there's a way out of this. We Magmatic Hellkite plus Avengers Disassembled, but we're just dead to the Shieldred. We don't have enough mana to Fiery Impulse and Magmatic Hellkite. All right. Game 3. Crazy draw from our opponent there. Now that we see that they're on all of these Rest in Pieces, Do we want... We'll bring in Beza. It's a good stabilizer. We have the Ultimas in. Fiery Impulse does just actually nothing in this matchup, so... Very cool deck from our opponent. They're using Shieldred, so... That's one minus. Not. Part of me wishes you ran Aven Mind Sensor in the sideboard. Yeah, I've seen some of the lists that are on the Aven Mind Sensor. It feels a little bit win more to me, if I'm being completely honest. It... Alright, they have the Sunstep Citadel again. Like, I'm trying to think of what matchups we want the Aven Mind Sensor for. Like, what deck are we just, like, really happy to say? Yeah, it would be good against Control. That's the one matchup that maybe it is right to... Like, if we want a sideboard card for Control, Aven Mind Sensor is it. All right, use an Avengers Disassembled. Let's go after... Sure, we'll go after Godless Shrine. They'll get a basic Plains here. We'll see if they have a Skirmish Rhino. We do have the Magmatic Hellkite to follow it up, so if they have Green Source into Skirmish Rhino. They have Green Source, they have the Skirmish Rhino. All right, play this Quarry Mountain Monastery... And Magmatic Hellkite does a really good job of blocking the Skirmish Rhino. They get a forest. They are out of basics, so this Demolition Field is just land destruction now. Same with the Avengers Disassembled. All right, they have a Thoughtseize, so they can take the Avengers Disassembled most likely. Wow, they take a road. And they have an answer for our Hellkite. Okay. But we get to destroy 2 of their lands this turn. So Demolition Field, Godless Shrine. Just thinking how it could go better was a fun card that came to mind. Not a bad choice if people keep resting. That's a... Yeah, something to note too. All right, let's go after... Is it Forest? Which... We've seen they love their Get Lost, but I think the Swamp is the most important land to them. So destroy the Swamp here. I mean, against specifically Control, I do think that the Aven Mind Sensor tech could do something. Wow, we're actually going to lose to... Oh, okay, we top deck a Beza. And we can draw a card off it too. So play the Sacred Fountain. Wow, what a... Oh, man. And we draw an Ultima. Okay. Need to dodge a Thoughtseize this turn. Opponent has the 3rd Skirmish Rhino. Opponent passes... All right, so we can cast this Price of Freedom. Yeah, the Beza off the top. Really glad we brought those in. All right, feels a little bit weird to go after Overgrown Tomb here, because we usually want to go after basics at this point. But cutting them off of black feels... But no, but all their removal is in white. It's close here. Let's go after the white. They need 2 lands and a 2nd black source for a Shieldred. Yeah, anything keeps Siege Rhino off the battlefield, I think. It's close. All right, an opponent scoops it up. Yeah, it's close. There's an argument for either Basic Plains or Overgrown Tomb there.